Hey gang, it's Russ, and I did get a chance to look deeper into the issue in this room for Space Quest Zero, and you can definitely tell that this would be a bug that would be engine dependent. And so let me just, basically show you what it is. I'm going to go ahead and click on more tools, and then we're going to go to developer tools. Okay. And what we can see here, let's just clear this. What we can see here is that in the background, you can see that as the engine ticks, the code uh, is basically attempting to set a loop for one of the objects in the room to a loop number that doesn't exist. Okay. And so one of these loops only has three loops in it, and we're attempting to set that to 4. Now that's probably an off by 1 error, and it's going to be it's going to be in the script essentially of the code. Now everything in here looks like it's great, looks good. So it would be very interesting to decompile the script for this game or find the source for this game, and then check to see if that's true. But I mean, essentially, from the engine's perspective, it is true. Okay, something is asking to set the cell to a number that's outside of the range. So um, we can just check for that, and the engine can just say, I don't care, I'm not going to do it." And so that's really simple to code for. So, for example, let me just grab this here, and I'll drag it over. Okay. We have in the animated object, so this is outside of the interpreter code. Here we can just say if you are setting the loop on this in this object. Here we're letting you pass in an integer. Okay, and essentially we're not the original code's not checking any preconditions, so you could try to set that to anything. And since we're talking about setting something on an array, um, then we can basically use this logic. If you've passed in something that's greater than or equal to the number of loops, or similar logic in the number of cells, then we're just not going to do it. We'll just return, right? And so then you just keep the current loop, the current cell, and move on with your life. And then anybody who uses this method, whether it's a bug in the interpreter or a bug in the script, is going to be basically it's going to continue to run, and you might get a small visual defect, but you're not going to see anything blow up. And I think that's a okay fix because you have basically, there's nothing wrong here or dirty about checking a precondition. Um, is it a little bit slower? Yeah, but we're talking about a very simple engine running on a very modern computer, and we've got enough resources to actually render this in a browser. So basically, that's not a concern in this version of the engine. So I think checking those preconditions is fine. Just to get rid of this, because this does take up resources, what we'll do is we'll just go ahead and clear here. And I'll compile this. So now we're running that GWT compiler, which is basically taking that Java code and compiling it to JavaScript. And just while that runs, what we can do is open up a browser here, and we can search for, look at all my search history there. That's great. Let's see, AGI Sierra Agile. Okay, now this is really what I want here. This is the source code for this engine. And so I just wanted to point that out here in the video. So when we're done making this video, I'll go ahead and send Lance a pull request on this and see if we can get that bug addressed long term. All right, now let's go back to this. Yeah, it's done compiling. I'm going to say yes. That replaces the code. So now what we can do is jump back to Space Quest 0, refresh. I'll just close this for now. Go in here, click on this. It's, we can turn the music back on. And then, all right, go ahead. Yeah, sorry. Again, my version of this engine is doing text to speech, and I know that doesn't come across in the recording. So sorry about that. I'm just going to hit F7. I'm going to hit this, go back to this location in the game. There we are. Let's go ahead and open up the sidebar here. Boom. More tools, developer tools. And what we can do is just clear that. And let's just head on into the bar. And now, okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and close, stop the music. Okay, good. All right, because that's just going to keep playing and playing. So my point here is that now, because we're not doing a debug, we're going to have basically no penalty for that. So now, I can move around and um, play the game. And you can see here that now, because we're catching the exception and handling it at the right spot, I can't get Roger to walk through walls and do things like that. This sign here, it's exactly right. It's hanging down over the stage. So just a perfect example of that pseudo 3D. Very cool. We can go down here and let's order brandy. Okay, it's gonna, again, it's talking in the background. Let's see if he brings it over. Might have to re-enable the music because I can't tell what's going. Oh, you know what? We can tell what's going on. I will open this window back up and go back to developer tools. And there is a silent mode here. I can see all the dialog boxes here. So it says one bottle coming up. There we go. So it took him a while to get to it. Jeez, dude. Let's take the brandy. There we go. Um, let's order ale. Yeah, it says we're being cut off, so there is no more boozing. I thought we were supposed to be able to get both of those. Anyway, now we can play the game, which is great. So there's just a quick example of finding a bug. Um, I do think there's just still two places this bug could be. There could be something about the engine code that allows it to try and go above and beyond the index for this array, the boundary of this array. Um, Although, again, I haven't run into that anywhere else. And it also could just be in the code of the game. And that's very simple. It's just a standard off by one kind of error. You just assume that the index starts at one and instead of zero, and now you've got a problem. So, and that can be that's very easy to have happen in the script. and there's no check on that kind of thing in those kinds of compilers typically. So anyway, I think it's kind of cool. If I ever bother to open up, basically decompile the game, or I find the source code, then we can confirm that. But for now, the Agile engine handles it well regardless.